My grandfather bought the first PC when it just hit the market, so there was Prince of Persia. I don't even know. I was 6, 5, I don't remember.
I'm not really sure. Like the last thing, or the first thing I can remember is that I've always played video games. I guess I was about 7 years old when I first started. I was playing racing games back then.
I was 3 years old. My dad bought a PlayStation 2, and the first game I ever played, I remember, was Gran Turismo 3.
Entertainment has always been part of human civilization. It has been with us since we started hunting and gathering, and it has accompanied us throughout human history. One of the oldest forms of entertainment is games. From ancient Babylon times till the 21st century, from chess in India and Arabia to Go and Mahjong in China and Japan, until 1962, when a new era of games started. MIT brought to us the very first computer game, Space War. From that time, computer games have come a long way and keep getting better and better.
I learned English through video games.
That got me into cars, so that's a positive. That's like the first experience with video games was definitely a positive experience.
Well, I love them. I think they're incredible mediums.
You know, comparing to other things that children could be doing outside, like doing drugs and in engaging in self-destructive behaviors, if they just sit at home and play games, I think that's better.
No, I mean, I don't think it's like video games are not crack, but it kind of hit me later on that I spent so much time, and I was kind of mourning that time lost.
I have spent a lot of time playing video games. I haven't discovered the joy of, I don't know, reading books maybe.
I understood that video games are kind of robbing me of time that could be spent on those other passions, such as, making music.
I spend a lot of time playing them, so I feel like some things inevitably I will miss. Since I spend so much doing them, I have less time to do other things, perhaps more productive things that will develop me as a person further.
So playing games was just like, if I have nothing better to do, why not play something? I'm actually happy that there were games as an option to play, because otherwise I don't know what I would have done with myself.
If somebody confronted me about gaming, telling me that I'm wasting my time on games, I'd ask them to give me another option that would be the same level.
Usually it's your like dominant or even sole hobby. You go to school and work, and then you play video games, and that's when that's where the most serious video game addictions come from, is that there's no real other passion other than playing video games.
I think that time wasted with pleasure is not really wasted.
To be fair, if I'm spending hours while playing video games, I am spending my life in a way, but the same could be said about any activity.
I mean, anything you do, you kind of give a piece of yourself to it's or it becomes a part of you, I guess, rather. But or it could be like both. But because you know you invest time and energy into it, just like anything else. So I guess it is true, but I don't think it's exclusive to video games.
I agree that if you spend hours on something, you're spending your life.
Yes, sometimes I do feel like when I spend time on games, I'm spending my life. I have a problem with quitting games, but there's this one game, RuneScape, that I've first started playing when I was like 6 or 7. It's a virtual world where you can do lots of things, like mining, wood cutting, magic, or killing other players. My brother introduced the game to me, and ever since I've multiple times quit the game and went back.
I was playing every day for like, I don't know, like come from school and until night just play every day for like almost 10 years.
On World of Warcraft, I've spent about, I'd like to say like 5,000 hours in total.
Over 1,000 hours in playing Dota 2.
I have to guess I have played 7,000 hours of video games. If I tried, it wouldn't be a smooth journey. Yeah, I do have problems with quitting games.
When I played a lot of games, I never felt that I need to quit.
I feel like, well, I enjoy them most of all, but I never considered that I should quit gaming.
I don't need help with quitting games.
I have never thought about quitting games. No, I do not think that I need help.
I don't think I need help quitting games, especially with RuneScape as well. I mean, I myself decided to quit because it was boring at that time. And if I ever get back into it and decide that it's fun, then I'll start playing again.
You are investing something that you'll never get back, which is, you know, it seems kind of you know, easy statement to make, but it's at the same time, you know, it's true. There's, you know, always this opportunity cost, like what could I do right now that's not playing video games, and what could I be doing right now?
To understand a problem, we need to understand the roots of the problem. Everything starts in our brain, where hormones and neurotransmitters influence us and our behavior. Now we are going to speak about the reward system of our brain. First of all, we need a subject. It's you. You try to achieve a goal. It could be anything, from winning a competition to cleaning your room. Something which you can accomplish. And your brain helps you to do it. Obviously, you need to make an effort to achieve your goal, but if you make progress, you are moving closer to it. As a result, your brain supports you by releasing hormones such as dopamine and serotonin to make you feel good and keep going. You need this goal. Each person needs a goal. Let's say that your goal is in the game. You play a game to accomplish a task. Killing monsters, collecting gems, and so on. And when you succeed, you will feel good as well. A goal is a goal, and there is no difference for your brain. Your goal is your choice.
I am not proud of my gaming achievements.
Well, I'm proud of both my gaming and real life achievements. I feel like gaming achievements aren't too far separated from real life achievements. I mean, they're achievements all the same.
I don't know if I've achieved anything.
dopamine release that you get, or like the feeling of satisfaction, is very, very real. But the thing is, you understand
Real life achievements are more important than games.
because you're not doing it professionally, and you're not like the top 1% of the people who are doing it. You don't have to take it as a job. You still take it seriously, but you know, you don't look back at that achievement like it would affect your career or your, like, I don't know, your life significantly, I guess.
The gaming industry has grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry, and the tactics that its companies use raise ethical questions.
I think that gaming companies are evil and greedy. I think that back in the days, developers really put a lot of love into creating a game.
To increase profit, gaming companies have done different things. We are going to speak about two specific tactics: Skinner's box and loot box.
I know what loot box mechanics are.
Yeah, I know what loot box mechanics are.
Gacha game type casinos.
It's like gacha, right? You pay money and then you buy a box and then you get random things, and 90% is crap.
First of all, let's go back in the day. On February 17, 1965, first gacha machine was introduced in Japan. This device is a grandfather of loot boxes. The only difference between a gacha machine and a virtual loot box is that gacha machine exists in the real physical world and loot boxes exist in the virtual world.
Like a chest, and the players buy it for real money to gain something so-called good in-game.
I have opened loot boxes, but I have not bought any of them.
Because a lot of games involve winning loot boxes as part of the game. You know, when you achieve a new level, for example, or if, for example, you can win some crystals in the game for achieving a level or completing some mission, and then you can use these crystals to buy a loot box. So I don't necessarily have to pay real money to open them. So you're keep buying, expecting that you will buy something nice, that you will get something nice.
50 euros is the max that I've spent on those kinds of like loot box. On Counter-Strike, I've bought a few. Like I think only like 10 maybe in my time. Nothing serious.
Yeah, I had bought some items if I was playing some game for a really long time, like accessories or some experience boosts, something like that. I don't think I spent that much money. Because I played for like 10 years, and I think in total I spent maybe, I don't know, 300 euro.
To conclude, what is a loot box? It's a chance to win something precious in the game. First loot boxes were physical, gacha machines and booster packs. You paid a sum of money to receive a chance to get the desired item. In the 21st century, we have virtual loot boxes in video games, and you can get, for example, football players, weapon skins, armor for your character, but most of the time you receive garbage. Of course, they do not call them loot boxes. Instead, they give them more interesting names in different games. For example, team packs in FIFA games and treasures in Dota 2, cases in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, loot crates in Star Wars Battlefront. What exactly are your chances of receiving a great item? To put it simply, extremely low. It is always lower than 5%. For example, in Counter-Strike, it is around 0.2%. That leads us to another question. How much money do you need to spend to make sure that you receive a great item? As you can see, it's hundreds of euros for the most desirable virtual items. The chances and prices are designed to be in correlation. Why does this happen? This system is based on indirect collection, which means that you cannot receive an item directly, but instead you have to rely on luck. You repeat the process until you receive what you want, and not a stupid hat. Many games have an in-game currency system, where a person needs to exchange real money for so-called in-game money. It could be daybreak cash, gems, FIFA points, and so on. As a result, the player loses the perception of value and spends his imperial credits carelessly. Keep in mind that you cannot exchange your gems back into euros, so ask yourself, how much are your FIFA points really worth? Do you know a place where you exchange money for tokens to get a chance to win something? You probably guessed it. It's a casino. What has happened is that game developers have put a literal casino into the games, and everyone can enter.
They shouldn't put any kind of gambling inside a game. And there's also one in RuneScape as well, but I never really go there. When I go there, I end up losing my hard-earned money.
I don't like casino systems in video games.
Like the casino in GTA is just literally it's just like it's like in-game currency. So and that you can't really, or you know, by proxy you can buy like in-game currency and then spend it in the casino.
I do not like it at all, and I think such actions and mechanisms should be regulated.
I don't have a feeling that somebody's stealing from me when I'm playing, because it is my free will to give the money or not.
Modern video games often rely on multiplayer mode. FIFA, Counter-Strike, Dota 2, and all other games that miss a specific plot. What's more is that you cannot finish these games. The progress of the game is the progress of your character or your position in the ranking system. Ask yourself, with whom are you playing with? Let's imagine that the colored dot is your in-game avatar, and other dots are the other real players. For you, as a developer, this system is rather challenging to make. You require servers, advanced programming, and large sums of money. But how can you make it more cheap and easy for you? For example, you want to spend less on servers. How to do it? What if you replaced some real players with bots? Now you have extra resources that you get to keep. What if you don't stop there? What if you replaced all the real players with bots? This is not an imaginary scenario. A lot of IO games have already done it. It is called fake multiplayer. It is implemented so well that the majority of players never realize that they are playing against bots. Who knows, maybe when you play online the real player is you. Or maybe not. You can't tell the difference. Let's move on to another approach. Skinner's box approach. Majority of the popular online games are based on this approach.
I have not heard of Skinnery box.
I have heard of Skinner box mechanics.
I never heard about Skinner box mechanics.
Yeah, I've heard of Skinner box as well. It's like a very prominent way of kind of designing video games nowadays, like the manipulating the brain's reward system, kind of.
Let's open the Skinner's box. Before we explain the most prominent way to design video games, let's talk about Burroughs Frederick Skinner. He was an American psychologist born in 1904 in Susquehanna Depot, Pennsylvania. He is estimated to be the most influential psychologist in the 20th century. He used to work using behaviorism theory. One of the most famous examples of behaviorism experiments is Pavlov's dog experiment. Firstly, a dog salivated if it saw food, and ignored the bell's sound, and by the end of the experiment, it started salivating just by hearing the bell sound. The dog was trained that way. Skinner thought, what other stimulus can we apply to the mix to train living beings? For example, he created a system to train pigeons through stimulus to drop bombs by pecking. The project was never launched because nobody in the Pentagon took it seriously. Later, Skinner created Skinner's box experiment. The experiment requires following things: a rat, a button, an indicator, and food, which would be a reward for the rat. System is simple. Rat presses the button, indicator shows if button is pressed, and food is given to the rat. Later, Skinner modified his box, and now the outcome of receiving the reward could be different. When the chance to receive a reward after pressing the button was 100% guaranteed, the rat's behavior was logical and predictable, as it pressed the button when it wanted to eat. But when it was less than 100%, and the rat didn't receive a reward after pressing the button, it kept pressing the button non-stop until the rat was completely exhausted. Skinner had made a gambling machine for rats. Anticipation to receive a reward activates dopamine release. Simply put, a hormone responsible for happiness and satisfaction. At this point, the rat doesn't receive only food, but dopamine as well. The situation is the same with humans. But how is it connected with our topic? Each game is a combination of gameplay and storytelling. The average time to complete a game is around 25 hours. Usually a game with that amount of playtime requires years to produce. It would be very expensive to create thousands of hours of gameplay. Just think about the amount of time it would require to produce. Game developers have come up with an idea how to solve this problem. What if we implement Skinner's discovery to the game, and players would play forever? It was the birth of most of the online games for computers and mobile phones. System is the same. Player becomes the rat, virtual world becomes the box, controls become the button, and winning becomes the reward. These types of games do not have a specific story or a plot, thus becoming endless loops that one could play forever. People play one game thousands of hours, engaging in the same repetitive action. Now, there is no difference between a human and the rat. The most profitable games are free-to-play games, based on Skinner's approach. Hormones received from video games were previously received in real life, achieving real tasks. In video games, it is usually much faster and easier. It is not a coincidence that these games are addictive. They were designed that way. Some players do not wish to leave Skinner's box.
like when I'm at school and it ends and I'm heading home, on the way I can think that, oh, I can level this thing or sell my items or get ready for a quest.
Like run some dungeons or like do arenas with my friends or like talk to my guild mates in World of Warcraft, stuff like that. Like the thoughts, the kind of those like mini dreams of like, oh, I'm gonna do this when I get home.
I could make an excuse for not being somewhere because I want to play.
Birthday of somebody I'm not too close with, that I just thought that I'm better off playing video games right now.
When I get home, I'm just gonna play.
I think about other things while gaming. I don't think it's a crime. Sometimes if the game is really nice and it has a really good concept or lore, I can start thinking about it just while playing it.
At times, yes. When, for example, I feel like I should be studying, but I feel like I just want to get one more game in. And
that feeling, I haven't felt that games really control me. I haven't rationalized kind of my video game addiction in that way, that they're kind of, I don't know, manipulating with me or something like that.
I have never felt that way, that the games control me.
yeah, I feel like games control me.
In 2017, John Carmack received an honorary degree from University of Missouri. What is interesting is that he never graduated from this university. He dropped out after 2 semesters. Who is this Mr. Carmack? He received the highest award of British Academy of Film and Television Arts, BAFTA Fellowship. The same award has previously been given to people such as Charlie Chaplin, Alfred Hitchcock, Ridley Scott, and Martin Scorsese. Let's learn a little more about John Carmack. According to the book Masters of Doom by David Kushner, John Carmack was a late talker. He started talking when he was 15 months old. He did not only say one word, but a whole sentence. To which his father responded, "Perhaps we might have something a bit extraordinary on our hands." There is no doubt that John is a gifted person. For example, when he studied in Catholic elementary school in 2nd grade by tests, he showed 9th grade comprehension level. He hated the Catholic school structure. Religion for him was irrational. He even challenged his classmates' beliefs, making some of them cry. He was obsessed with computers and was transferred to the gifted and talented program to public school with the first computer lab in the area. His mother saw a problem with computer games and noticed that her son was becoming uncontrollable and dark. Thus, she took him to a psychologist. It didn't change anything. And besides games, he learned from the internet to hijack telephone services, text-based role-playing games, and he even learned about bombs. One day, John and his friends decided to steal some computers by putting their knowledge in explosives to practice. Carmack used thermite paste and melted a window to the computer lab, but due to his friend, they were caught. After this event, 14-year-old Carmack was sent to psychiatric evaluation, where they found out that he has no empathy for other human beings. "If I hadn't been caught, I probably would have done that again," Carmack honestly said. He was sentenced to 1 year in a juvenile detention home. Most of the kids were in for drugs. Carmack was in for an apple too. Carmack emerged hardened, cynical, and burning to hack. He bought a stolen computer from a kid he met in the juvenile home. Also, he got into sports. He began lifting weights, practicing judo and wrestling. Not only was he strong mentally, he became stronger physically. Depending on the situation, he used one or another. Another passion of Carmack's was the board game Dungeons and Dragons. He created his own world with Quake and Hellgate Cube. He and his friends created in this game an imaginary group of adventurers called Popular Demand. Later, they founded a company called ID, short for Ideas from the Deep. One of the founders of the company pointed out that ID has another meaning: the part of the brain that behaves by the pleasure principle. This company made one of the most successful computer game genres of all times, the first-person shooter. 3 underlying pieces of this format include Catacomb 3D, Wolfenstein 3D, and most of all, Doom. Doom introduced the first Skinner's box type game mode, which was called Deathmatch. For Carmack, games didn't need a specific story. He has said, "Story in a game is like a story in a porn movie. It's expected to be there, but it's not that important." People play Skinner's box type games for one specific reason: to stimulate their brain's pleasure center.
Yeah, let's play. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
When Doom was launched and Deathmatch game mode was introduced, people were willing to go as far to pay $8 per hour to play the game mode. If considered the current inflation rate, it equals $14 this day. Doom didn't only change the industry, but it also changed the behavior of the players. Doom called for something more. It was not eye-rolling anymore. Instead, there was punching walls and screaming. No one is protected from Doom, and John Romero, a co-developer of Doom, got so addicted to the game that Carmack eventually fired him. The game had become so addictive that it had earned the title Heroinware. By January 1995, 10,000 people were paying $8.96 per month to play online. Once Carmack and his friends spent $10,000 in a strip club, and the strippers were shocked and asked them how they made their money. They were intrigued to find out that Carmack sold Deathmatch. They were wondering if it is some new kind of drug. Yes, it is. Carmack has a long history with demons. They were in Catholic school, in board game Dungeons and Dragons, in his personal life, and in his games. He introduced Asmodeus to the players in his next game called Quake. Interestingly, Asmodeus was not the enemy or a character, but a text in the quitting menu. He mocked you if you wanted to quit playing. He made fun of the player and occasionally even made threats. This name was not invented by Carmack. It is a demon from the Old Testament, second after Lucifer, commander of 72 legions of demons, and most interestingly, an overseer of gambling houses. Who knows why Carmack chose him to speak with the player? When Carmack was younger and played Dungeons and Dragons, he summoned demons and they destroyed his game world. "The material plane is overrun with demons," he said flatly. "Everyone is dead. That's it. We're done."
I don't think game stealing time from my life because I voluntarily go for the games.
I do not agree with the statement that when I play, I give a part of myself.
I disagree with the statement that you give a part of yourself when you're playing.
No, I don't think when I play video games somebody's stealing from me.
I don't feel that games have stolen my time.
You are a physical being who exists in a real world and who has his life energy and money. Imagine that you have a screen that separates the physical world from the virtual world. At this moment, your computer or mobile screen starts acting as a portal. In this virtual world, you have an avatar or a character. Let's call him Asmodeus. When you start playing, you start energy transfer or energy exchange. You start giving your energy, time and money to Asmodeus. He starts growing and improving as a character. With the progress of growth, you give your energy and time to Asmodeus. The progress is repeated over and over again. As you are spending more and more time, you become linked together by an invisible chain that prevents you from stopping. At this point, you are interlinked with Asmodeus. We could say that he controls you. Eventually, he will achieve maximum, and you will be depleted. This is the real end of the game.
Game over.
I think it's a cool concept for like a fictional film, but that's not the reality of it, I don't think. Or at least it is a reality for a very extreme case of video game addiction.
I guess in world there are some people that can get that much addicted.
I think I'm too healthy for that.
I think it exists as a 1%.
And I plan on still playing, just not as competitively as I used to.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can fall victims to this exchange. I understand your point. It doesn't mean that I will stop doing what I'm doing.
The concept that I'm giving my energy to my virtual character is absolutely correct, especially in case of MMOs and such.
Don't be afraid, my child. Why do you need anyone if you have me? I am Asmodeus, your friend, and I don't concede to anyone. Don't be afraid of Babylon, my child. I am always near you. I am always with you. Achieve your goal. I will help you on the way. I will help you see. I will help you hear. People around you will tell you that I don't exist. Then who are you listening to?